Hari Om. In the elective course Information Security, we are going to discuss the topics in Module 5. So, these are the different topics that we will be discussing in Module 5. We will talk about the comparison between the digital signature and the conventional signature. Then we will talk about the process of digital signature. Then what are the different services that are provided by the digital signature? Then we will talk about the attacks that may happen on digital signature, the different types of attacks. Then the scheme, right? One of the very important digital signature scheme is the RSA digital signature scheme. We'll be discussing RSA digital signature scheme in the fifth module. So these are the different topics we will be covering in the fifth module. Now, before we get into digital signature discussion, let us very briefly discuss about what is public key cryptography. We have already covered this in our fourth module, but just to recollect the points of public key cryptography, let us have a very brief discussion here. Public key cryptography, all of us know, it is also known as asymmetric crypto system, and it is a form of crypto system in which the encryption and the decryption are performed using different keys, whereas in the symmetric key crypto system, both encryption and decryption are performed using the same key, which will be generally a shared key between the sender and receiver, but here it uses different keys. So one public key and one private key will be used for encryption and decryption. So that is why we call it as asymmetric. Now in the asymmetric encryption, we know that it transforms the plain text into ciphertext, and for doing this transformation it uses any one of the two keys, right? So for encryption it may be using a public key or it may use a private key also, and an encryption algorithm will be used for the encryption process. At the same time, the plain text will be recovered from the ciphertext using the decryption process, and by the time it uses the paired key. What do you mean by paired key? If public key is used in encryption, the private key will be used in the decryption, or if the private key is used in encryption, it will use public key for the decryption process. So in the decryption algorithm, the input will be the paired key. So whichever key we are going to use for the encryption, the pair will be used for the decryption process. Now this is the diagrammatic representation of how encryption and decryption is done with public key and private key. Here let us assume this is the encryption with the public key, right? So what happens here, Alice will be generating, Bob wants to transmit a data to Alice. So Alice will be generating two keys, private key as well as public key, and using Alice public key, Bob will be encrypting the data. Then the encrypted data will be transmitted, and in the decryption algorithm which will be used by Alice, she uses her private key to decrypt the message and she gets the plain text. This is how it works when we use the public key for the encryption. We had seen for encryption we can use any one of the two keys. So this represents the encryption process with the public key, right? So Alice wants to receive a message from Bob. What she does, she generates a public key as well as a private key. Then the public key of Alice will be used by Bob for the encryption process, and the ciphertext will be transmitted through insecure channel, and Alice on her end will receive the ciphertext and she decrypts the ciphertext using her private key. Thereby she gets the plain text. The same we can do with the private key also. The encryption with the private key. Here what happens? Bob will be generating the keys. Both private as well as public keys will be generated by Bob. And Bob will be encrypting the plain text, right? So the plain text will be encrypted using the private key of Bob, and the ciphertext will be transmitted. And on Alice end, Alice will be decrypting the ciphertext using the public key, and thereby she gets the plain text. So you can understand here, if private key is used for encryption, public key will be used for decryption. The same way, if public key is used for encryption, private key will be used for decryption. So that is why it says the paired key will be used for the decryption process. Now we had seen now what is asymmetric crypto system. So if you use the asymmetric crypto system, it can be used for confidentiality, it can be used for authentication, or it can be used for both confidentiality and authentication. Now the most widely used public key crypto system is the RSA algorithm, and the interesting part of the RSA algorithm is the difficulty of attacking RSA is completely based on the difficulty of finding the factors, prime factors of a composite number. So finding the prime factor of a composite number is difficult. If it is very difficult, then attacking RSA will also be very difficult. If the factors can be easily detected or easily determined, then the RSA algorithm can be easily attacked. So the difficulty of attacking is completely based on how difficult finding the prime factors of a composite number. This is the point to be noted. Now let us see how the asymmetric encryption can be used for confidentiality, authentication, and both. So this is for the confidentiality, how the public key crypto system is used for confidentiality, which is otherwise known as secrecy. And you can see here a key pair will be generated, public key and the private key. And if it is for confidentiality, the message will be encrypted using the public key. Then the encrypted message will be received on the destination or on the receiver's end, and it will be decrypted using the private key. Thereby we get the plain text. So for secrecy or for maintaining the confidentiality, encryption will be done using the public key and decryption will be done using the private key. Whereas for the authentication process, the encryption will be done with the private key, and the decryption will be done using the public key. So this message will be taken as the input by the encryption algorithm, and the second input will be the private key, and it generates a ciphertext which is referred as Y here, and the Y will be decrypted using the public key as well as the public key, and the decryption algorithm generates the plain text X on the destination end. Okay. So the same public key crypto system can be used for authentication and secrecy for both. If so, the encryption and decryption will be done 2 times here. You can observe here a key source will be generated. So first it goes for the authentication, right? So authentication will be done with the private key. So it goes for the authentication, a key pair source, private key will be used for the encryption, and this output will be given again to the encryption algorithm using the public key of the second pair. Alright. then this value will be decrypted first by using the private key, and then it will be decrypted using the public key. So this diagram better describes how authentication and secrecy can be achieved using the public key crypto system. Okay, fine. So this gives you an introduction to what is public key crypto system, and we know that the digital signature is achieved using public key crypto system. So in a digital communication, when a receiver needs to check the authenticity of the sender, then we are going to use the digital signature. So digital signature is purely a public key crypto system, and if the receiver needs to check the authenticity of the sender, then the digital signature can be used. This is the purpose of digital signature. So let us just compare the conventional and digital signature here based on 4 different concepts. Looking at the differences between conventional signature and the digital signature based on 4 concepts: inclusion, verification method, relationship, and duplicity. Let us see the inclusion part. So in the conventional signature, a conventional signature is included in the document and it is part of the document. Say for example, when we sign a check, the signature is on the check. It is not a separate document. It is on the check. But when we sign a document digitally, we send the signature as a separate document. That means the sender will be sending 2 different documents over the network. The message as a separate document and the signature as a separate document. So this is one difference between the conventional and the digital signature. So in the conventional signature, the signature will be included in the document itself as you have signature on the check, whereas if you sign a document digitally, we are going to send 2 different documents. One will be the document as such, right, the message which you want to send, and the second one will be the signature, which is again sent as a separate document over the internet or network. On the basis of verification method, let us see what is the difference. For a conventional signature, when the recipient receives a document, she compares the signature on the document with the signature on the file. Say for example, if you are going to sign a document, sign your check and give it to the bank will have a copy of your signature, which you call as the specimen signature, right? Hope you remember when you open a bank account, you might have given a specimen signature. 3 times you might have signed the application, which will be kept as the specimen signature. So this specimen signature will be compared with the signature on your check, right? So the specimen signature and the signature on the check will be compared here. Whereas for the digital signature, the recipient receives the message and the signature, and the recipient needs to apply a verification technique to the combination of the message and the signature to verify the authenticity. So you must have a verification algorithm for checking the authenticity of the signature, because here a copy of the signature is not stored anywhere. This is the very important point to be noted here. For the conventional signature, when you do it manually, that is what you call as conventional signature, right? So for the manual signature verification, what they do, they need to maintain a copy of the signature, but for the digital signature, a copy of the signature is not at all stored anywhere. A copy of the digital signature is not at all stored anywhere, and the recipient needs to apply a verification technique to the combination of the message and the signature to verify the authenticity. That is another difference between conventional and the digital signature. And the third one is based on the relationship. For a conventional signature, there is normally a one-to-many relationship between the signature and the documents, right? Because a person will be using the same signature to sign many documents, right? So same type of signature you will have for all the documents. If you are going to sign 100 documents, in all the 100 documents the signature will be same. But interestingly, for a digital signature, there is a one-to-one relationship between a signature and a message. Each message will be generating a different signature document. Each message, even if you are going to change a single character in the message, or a single letter or a number in the message is changed, then the signature will be automatically changed. That is the advantage of having a digital signature. So for each document you are going to have only one signature, but here the conventional signature, for all the n number of documents the same signature will be maintained. But here for each document you need a separate signature. In the case of duplicity, again, in the conventional signature, a copy of the signed document can be distinguished from the original one, right? So the specimen signature will be in a separate file in your bank, and the signature which you put on your check will be a separate document. So a copy of the signature document can be distinguished from the original one, whereas in the digital signature there is no copy stored, no such distinction unless there is a factor of time on the document. So the only thing is, when you are going to send the message, if you are going to have the timestamp on the message, then you can distinguish, otherwise you can't distinguish the signature. There is no copy of the signature stored anywhere. So this is the basic comparison between conventional and the digital signature on the concepts of inclusion, verification method, relationship and duplicity. Next we are going to talk about the digital signature process, how it works. So the digital signature process can be described in the following figure. Alice wants to send a message to Bob. So what she does, the message will be given to the signing algorithm. She wants to digitally sign this particular message. So what she does, she uses a signing algorithm, and the message and the signature, right? S is the signature which will be generated by the signing algorithm, and the message M and the signatures, not signing, the signature will be sent through the insecure channel to Bob, and Bob will be receiving both message and signature. Then he will be verifying the signature, and if the authenticity is convinced, then he will be taking that particular message, right? Now you can observe here, the message is given to the signing algorithm for generating the signature. So that is why we say one-to-one relationship. What is your message? Based on the message, the signature will be generated. So this particular point you can understand, one-to-one relationship between a signature and a message. So in this message, if you change a single character, then the signature will be a different signature. So both message and signature will be received on the receiver's end, and he will be verifying the signature to check the authenticity. So the sender uses the signing algorithm to sign the message, and the message and the signature are sent to the receiver. The receiver receives the message, right? Both the message and the signature are received on the receiver's end. Then the receiver will be applying the verifying algorithm to the combination. Which combination? Both message and the signature. If the result is true, the message will be accepted. After verification, if you get true as the result, then the message is accepted. Otherwise, the message will be rejected. This is the process, the basic process of digital signature. Now, when you take this digital signature, there are two very important concepts to be understood in the digital signature process. One is the need for the key. What is the need for keys? And the other one is message digest. So let us see what is the need for keys. A digital signature needs public key crypto system. We had already seen the sender uses her private key. We had already seen in our public key crypto system if it is for authentication. So obviously digital signature is used for the authentication. So if it is for authentication, then we use the private key for signing the document, right? In the encryption process, we use the private key for the digital signature, and the receiver uses the signers, right? The sender's public key for the verification process. That is, the sender signs with her private key and the receiver verifies with the sender's or signer's public key. So this is what is to be understood here in the digital signature process. In the earlier diagram, we had seen just signing algorithm and verification algorithm. Now, what key is used for this process is depicted here. The message along with the private key will be given as the input to the signing algorithm. Then message and the signature will be sent to Bob or the receiver, and the senders, who is the sender here? Alice is the sender. So Alice public key will be used for the verification process, which will be specifying whether the message can be accepted or not, right? Now if you take the crypto system, it uses the private and public keys of the receiver. Any crypto system can use the private and public key of the receiver, but the digital signature uses the private and public key of the sender, right? So the crypto system here, it says, which is used for the confidentiality, right? So a crypto system which is used for the confidentiality uses the private and public key of the receiver. We had already seen in our earlier slide, but the digital signature uses private and public keys of the sender, right? So the need of the keys in the digital signature process arises how we need to use the private key of the sender for signing and the public key of the sender for verifying the signature. Now the very important concept to be understood in the case of digital signature process is the message digest or signing the digest. In the digital signature, the messages will be generally a longer one, right? So you want to send a long document or a large document to the receiver with the authentication. Now, to use the asymmetric key schemes, which are the asymmetric key schemes are inefficient when dealing with long messages. So what we are going to do in the digital signature, it uses message digest. So instead of simply using the original message itself, we are going to use message digest. What do you mean by message digest? Message digest is used to ensure the integrity of the message being transmitted, and the message will be passed through a hash function, cryptographic hash function, and this hash function creates a compressed image of the message which you call as the message digest. So message digest is in smaller in size comparing to your original message. You give the original message to the cryptographic function, and the cryptographic function will create a compressed image which will be smaller in size of the original message, and this is what you call as the message digest. Say for example, if you use a hash function which is having a simple addition process, if I have a message like hello, then this message, the values, right, these are all the alphabetic numbers of ordering number of this particular word. H is the eighth one, E is the fifth character, L is the 12th character. So all these numbers we are going to add, and we will get a value called 52, which is comparing to these 5 characters. I'm going to have one integer number called 52. Obviously this is smaller in size comparing to this original message, correct? So this is what we call as the message digest. How do you get this message digest? The message is passed through the cryptographic hash function. So you will have a hash function. This is a simple hashing algorithm I have used. You can have different types of hashing algorithm, okay, and this hashing algorithm creates a compressed image of the message, right? So the original message is now compressed as an integer here, which you call as the digest. And you can observe here, if you change even a single character in the original message, it is going to generate a different message digest, and the reverse is not possible, right? From the digest we cannot generate the original message. So this is a one-way hash function generally. So a carefully selected message digest has a one-to-one relationship with the message. So for this message, the message digest is different. For this message, the message digest is different. So obviously it is going to have a one-to-one relationship between the message and the message digest. Okay, so the point here is, in digital signature the messages will be very long, so using a longer messages becomes very inefficient in the asymmetric key scheme. So the digital signature is going to use a message digest. And what is message digest we had seen, and the message digest will be always having one-to-one relationship with its message. And how do you sign the digest now? We have the original message. The original message is given to the hashing function, cryptographic hashing function, which will be generating a message digest, and this message digest is now given to the signing algorithm along with the private key. Then the signature will be sent for the verification process, and for the verification process public key will be used, right? And the message is also sent to the receiver, and here again the message is given to the hashing function, and it is going to check whether this hashed message and the decrypted message are same for checking the authenticity, right? So let us see here how it works. The message will be given to the message digest function, which will be a cryptographic hash function which will generate a digest, message digest. And this message digest will be given for the encryption process, which is your signing algorithm, along with the private key, and the signature will be generated. Now what the sender will do, the message and the signature, the message and the signature both are transmitted to the receiver, and the receiver will take this message and this so he gets the message and the signature. You can observe here he gets two documents. One is the message document, The other one is a signature document. So this message document will be taken separately, and again the cryptographic function, hash function, will be applied, which will be generating a message digest here. Correct? At the same time, the signature will also be given to the decryption algorithm with the public key, and this will also generate a message digest. Because message digest is the input you give for the encryption process. So obviously the decryption process must generate the message digest itself. Now what the receiver will do, he will check whether this expected digest and the actual digest are the same. So if it is same, the message will be accepted, otherwise the message will be deleted. So this is how the signature is verified here. So that is what is depicted in this diagram also. The message will be given to the hashing algorithm, and which will be generating the message digest, and the signature given to the verification algorithm will also be generating the message digest. Both the message digest will be compared here. Right? I repeat, the original message from the sender will be given to the cryptographic hash function, and which will be generating a message digest, and this message digest will be given to the encryption algorithm, which is your signing algorithm, along with the private key that generates the signature. Now the sender will send the message, the original message, and the signature to the receiver. So two documents are sent now. Now the receiver will receive the message and the signature as two different documents, and this message will be again given to the cryptographic hash function, which will be generating a actual digest, and the signature given to the decryption algorithm along with the public key will also be generating a message digest, and this message digest will be compared with this message digest. If both are same, then the signature will be verified, or the authenticity will be confirmed, right? So you can observe here the digest, message digest is the input to the encryption algorithm. So obviously decryption algorithm will also generate a message digest, right? So this is how the message digest helps in the digital signature process. So the digital signature process, we had seen the importance of using the keys, the private as well as public key, then the importance of using the message digest, which will be generated by a cryptographic hash function, right? And one more point that you have to observe here, it is not going to, all the hashing algorithm will not do this addition, right? You have different types of hashing algorithms available. This is a very simple example shown here. Okay. So let us discuss the services provided by the digital signature in our upcoming video. Thank you.